Hey, what's up, guys? Sean here with Blue Ridge. It was gonna happen. I was gonna do some sort of video, kind of chronicling what happened on our trip to the Colorado Springs A&A Money Show. Because I've been hyping it up for a few weeks, right? Before we had left, we left actually. Oh, almost 2 weeks ago. Today's Friday when you guys are watching this, and it was not this past Monday. It was a week back from that. Because the show was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was a 3-day event at the A&A headquarters in Colorado Springs. All right, which I was looking forward to. We were scheduled to get there on Thursday, so that way we could go to the show on the first day. What were our original plans was to get there Thursday, attend the show, and do some of the seminars Thursday and Friday, and do meet and greets. Apparently, I had quite a few people that were waiting for me to arrive there. I didn't have an official booth or table or anything like that per se, but I had every intention of going out and meeting the public. And Needless to say, it didn't quite work out that way. I wanted to discuss and kind of tell you guys the harrowing tale of our expedition to Colorado. All right. So, as you guys know, we're located in Northern California. All right. So, from where we were located to Colorado Springs, if we took a specific route, okay, and, we had to go through Nevada, Utah, we took a different route and we pivoted to taking a different route for a specific reason, and I'll tell you that here. Our original idea was to go through Utah and then in Wyoming, to drive all the way across the state of Wyoming, which is quite a long drive, damn near 400 miles across. And once we hit Cheyenne, we were gonna head south from there through Denver to Colorado Springs. So it's a little bit of a trek from Denver to Colorado Springs. It's like another hour or so. But I don't know if you guys were aware. You guys have probably heard about it on the news and all that. The Denver metropolitan area, including all of the ski resorts going over the Rocky Mountains, well, they were to have a once in 3 year blizzard event right when we were driving there. So to kind of make a long story short, when it comes to the drive, and this is specifically why we decided to instead go through Wyoming, we headed down to 15 from Salt Lake City and took a route. I think it was Highway 30 to pick up Interstate 70 to go across the mountains, so that way we could get there earlier. If we would have stayed our original route to go to through Wyoming, we would have lost like half a day or something like that, because we are going to stay in Cheyenne overnight and then make the drive down Thursday morning. Okay, it didn't quite work out that way. We wanted, because the weather was coming in that night, Wednesday night. So we thought we were doing okay. We picked up the 70. We were heading east through the Rocky Mountains. We gone through Grand Junction and all the other smaller communities. So we thought we were going to make it. We ended up going up into the mountains. We, passed some of the large ski resorts that you guys all know about, Vail and, a few of the others. So we got to where I guess it's there's a town called Frisco, which is right outside Breckenridge. You guys know Breckenridge is one of the big ski resorts in the area. We got to that area and the snow was starting to come down, and I told my wife, because, the question is, why did we drive? Well, we wanted to make it a road trip, something to remember. It was me, my wife, and my youngest daughter, baby Blue. So they have never driven in this area before, and I have. All right, and we have a decent sized pickup truck with 4-wheel drive. So I wasn't worried about that. I was more worried about making it to Colorado Springs Wednesday night. So the weather was starting to come down, and it wasn't supposed to for at least another 6 hours at this point. And you know, excuse me, it ended up being right around when we got to around Breckenridge. It was right around 8 o'clock at night, and we had plenty of time to get down to the mountain into the Denver area, which I had been fine for. But due to unforeseen circumstances, the Colorado State Police ended up closing the mountain on the way down. There were, I think, 7 or 8 jackknifes between Breckenridge and going down the mountain on Interstate 70. So we were stuck in traffic for a good solid hour. And we were just sitting there waiting in this traffic. And then we noticed ahead of us where we were at, there was like a tow truck that had slipped into the ditch or something. And they were trying to get that out of there. And they ended up just closing the interstate, but we didn't wait for that official closure. It wasn't until we got to a local hotel, because at that point, 8 o'clock, people probably caught wind that they did close the interstate further up, and they ended up turning around and went back to Breckenridge, and all of the cheaper hotels were sold out. So we ended up in a glorified, what I think is like a Best Western at kind of like Aspen, Breckenridge prices, completely out of sight. And Wednesday night, we ended up turning around and spending the night. Okay, so our original idea of getting in on Thursday morning to attend the show in Colorado Springs looks like it was going up in smoke. So we spent the night on Wednesday night. And, we got up. There was probably a good solid maybe 4 or 5 inches of snow that had fallen overnight at the beginning of the storm. Most of the weather was in Denver and Colorado Springs and, that area, Golden. So we woke up. I was just dog tired, because, I drove like 8 hours the day before because we were trying to beat the weather. And we were pushing more hours on the road to do that. And so we ended up in this overpriced hotel. The next morning, Thursday morning, I decided to sleep in. My wife and kid were okay with it. They were actually going to go outside. They were going to get some stuff out of the truck. The hotel had a restaurant, but they were closed. So there was a Starbucks around the corner. Okay, it's like, it's like okay coffee, overpriced coffee, and breakfast sandwiches. So they wanted to go there. I didn't know that. And then 15 minutes later, I was like in mid REM sleep, for crying out loud. My wife gives me a call with a freaking medical emergency. She had slipped on some ice at the street corner where the Starbucks was, and it had broken her fibula. Excuse me, I got a dry throat. And a couple bones in her ankle. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me at this point? So I got up out of bed. I'm like half asleep, and I was like bewildered and quite frankly a little bit disoriented at this time. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm gonna get over there. So I had to put pants on, change out of my my evening attire, which is like basketball shorts and a shirt, Coming back to Northern California, my allergies are just killing me right now. So I got outside. I'm like, where in the hell is this Starbucks? All right. And I was still on the phone with my wife. She said, just walk out of the hotel and it's right there. So I ended up walking around a little bit. I didn't know. And I saw it. It's right near like the main drag of going through we're in the town of Frisco, which is right next to Breckenridge. They're like right next to each other. So I walked over to Starbucks. My wife was already in the Starbucks. Apparently, some good Samaritans had pulled over. There was like 4 or 5 people that carried her in. I'm like, oh my god, her leg or her foot was actually like floppy, dangling off of her leg. Sorry to be so graphic, but and she was in so much pain, and I was like, at that moment, I'm like, I don't even know what the hell to do. So the Starbucks manager ended up calling 911. So anyway, so ambulance ended up coming, EMTs, so even the fire truck came, and they put her in, and she's in so much pain, but they need to get her, she has a boot on, so they pumped her with a bunch of stuff to numb her pain a little bit, and then they kind of wiggled and got the boot off. All right, this is kind of where I feel like I need to be a little bit graphic. So one of the EMTs came out and said, "Hey, okay, we're going to take her over down to this hospital over here. It's right up the road. It's like 3 minutes down. It was incredibly convenient." And kudos to the Summit EMS medical team in that area. This incredibly professional and awesome. So we ended up at the Summit Hospital, which is right up the road in Frisco, and we didn't end up following the ambulance. We actually went back to the hotel. Me and my youngest daughter, she was like traumatized at this point, like I don't even know what to do. So we went back to the hotel, and we were just kind of like changing because we were just all kind of at this point just trying to get our bearings. And then I had she left some articles, including her cell phone, in the room. Or no, not her cell phone. She left her wallet because she only had her debit card, and she needed her insurance card and all that stuff for the hospital. So I ended up getting all that stuff. So we got back to the hospital. Half an hour later, thereabouts, she was already admitted, and they had already done some preliminary like X-rays and things like that, and that's when we found out that she broke a bone in her lower leg and also fractured a few of her bones in her ankle. I was like, God damn it. And then we were looking at each other like, yeah, I know. This is what we anticipated. Here we are, like 1,700 miles away from home, and it's like we drove, and there's a lot of thoughts going through our mind and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, how is this going to impact the rest of our trip? Because at this point, the A&A Money Show was the furthest thing away from my mind. I was like, it's the least important thing to me right now. It's like all I care about is her. So the physician came in, and they said, well, you have two options, because they already had her all splinted up and then wrapped in the stuff. They're like, you could wait to go home to do the surgery to get this all fixed, because they had already put the bone and stuff back in place. And I was like, okay, it's not going to last, and it's going to be painful as hell. Or we could do the surgery. It'll be later this afternoon. Okay, this is again on Thursday, the first day of the event of the A&A. All right. And I was like, okay, well, me and my wife talked about it, and she's like, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And I agreed. I'm like, yeah, let's just go ahead and get this all repaired and fixed. Apparently this is not a common injury in the area because of a lot of the skiers, and they've seen it all. They've seen a lot of lower leg injuries, upper leg injuries, hip injuries, back injuries, things like that because of the skiing and snowboarding community. So she ended up in surgery 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is Mountain Time. Me and my daughter were in and out of the hospital because at this point we haven't eaten anything yet, and it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So my wife said, "Yeah, you're not going to do any good here. Just go down to the cafeteria or drive back to the hotel. Just hang out, and I'll text you." And it was cool because she texted me. She's like, I'm heading into surgery, and the procedure ended up being about 3 hours long. They had a plate, bunch of screws. It was like 9 or 10 screws in there. And all I could think about was like, all I could think about was her. I was like, I'm incredibly worried about her, and because I know she doesn't deal with pain as good as some others. So I was like, well, what are we going to do? And I was talking to myself because there was no one else to talk to. Not even my 11-year-old. I couldn't, really have a great conversation about this. It's like, do we put her on a plane or whatever? Thankfully, it didn't end up being that situation where we had to do that, and send her back home. So she got out of surgery, kind of loopy. They wanted to keep her overnight again, so from Thursday night into Friday night, okay. She ended up getting discharged the next day, but it wasn't until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So Thursday erased, Friday damn near erased. There was no way that we would have been able to make it to any part of the show by the time we got to Colorado Springs. And ta-da! My wife said, let's just do it. Let's just go to, because we all had already paid for our room at the Broadmoor, which is right next door to the A&A. And we ended up, already paying for it, even though it's like a reduced rate because their rooms are normally like $700 on any other given time. We got it for $200, and that's the benefit, ladies and gentlemen, of being a part of the A&A. It's for things like that. So, we had paid originally for two nights. So now it's only one night. And she said, it's okay, let's just go ahead and do it. And, at the very least, we'll be there. We'll have lunch with our friends and stuff because we were going to actually have lunch with a close dealer friend, Trader B. He's also known as Kearney Coin Center. We were supposed to have dinner with he and his wife there at the event, and that didn't end up happening. So, and thank you, Bjorn, by the way, if you're listening to this. Would have loved to have dinner with you. So we had dinner with our friend Adam Coins and Ghouls from the Live Coin Q&A. He was there, and also Farm Dog Ron was also there. It was great to see you gentlemen again. We'll see you guys, or at least one of you, in Tulsa coming up here in a few months, because we will be there, and we are freaking flying. Okay, we're not driving to that one, even though it's the middle of summer. So we got there Friday night. We checked in. And thank you, by the way, to all of the personnel at all of these hotels that we stayed at, from where we were at in Colorado all the way down to coming back home. We just got back home the day before. I did my PCMR yesterday, as you guys had seen. Finally, right? You guys are wondering, where in the heck are you? Are you okay? And here we are. And I'm tired. I'm lethargic, a little bit exhausted. I'm doing a Whatnot show tonight, for whatever that's worth. I have about 60 lots. It's a little bit lighter than what I normally do. But through it all, my wife, who's been the rock of my life all my life that I've known her, steps through, and she did okay. She's just been phenomenal. She's been taking a lot of POV pics, with in the back seat, because she had to lay across the back seat of the truck, and my daughter was in the front with me, and she was kind of making a time of it, by taking like POV pics with her busted up, wrapped up leg, with various landmarks in the back. I might put some up here. I don't know. Or I'll just post them in the community tab on YouTube here. But in total, I love this woman so much. She said, just go to the show. Saturday morning, we needed to check out by 11. And it was like the night before, she told me, I'm like, yeah, get up early, get there when they open. So I ended up getting there like 9:15 or something like that. Spent about an hour and a half at the show, and that was all in a nutshell. My contribution to the A&A Money Show attendance was an hour and a half out of 3 days, and made the most of it. I did pick up a few coins, made a few trades, got to see Trader B Bjorn there as well. Got to meet a few fans, a few people I've never met, but I've sold to on whatnot, and I've also met through YouTube as well. And I want to thank you, everyone. I tried getting out the best I could, but I had like one person after another just coming up to me and wanting to introduce themselves, and it was cool. Yeah, I made the most of it, and yeah, sorry, it's a little emotional because just so much had happened. Through the course of we were gone about 7.5 days, and it's one that we'll remember for the rest of our life. Something that we could always talk about in the future because things happen for a reason. All this happened for a reason, and you know, it's something that I have to accept and take in stride. But also represents a pretty cool story, for us to reminisce over in time. So yeah, let me go ahead and share what I did end up picking up here. I only picked up a few items. Didn't have a real chance to cherry pick anything, unfortunately. Here's one I picked up for tonight's show. It's a 1858 3 cent silver. This is a Type 2. So it's a PCGS VF30. Probably can't see it too well, but nice little small 3 cent silver there. All right. So the Type 2s have the double line that goes around the star. One for my PC. I picked up a Mid-State 64 Delaware. I had one of these, and for whatever reason, I traded or sold it or something like this. But got myself another one, and the deal was just right, so that worked out. This might look familiar. I got one of the 2021 Lincoln Cents with the retained cud graded. Adam took care of that for me. He gave it to me. So I had one that came back in the 66 red. You can see the retained cud right there. It's massive. For tonight's show, I also picked up, for the first time ever, I've never owned one of these, but thought, maybe the community would love it for tonight's show, which is Friday's show, is a 1933 Chicago World's Fair Century of Progress so-called dollar, but it's made entirely of silver, all right, for the event. And this is the Colorado Century of Progress medal. All right, so this one right here, I believe is 999 fine silver, and it's beautiful. All right, it's a really unique one there. You don't see them quite that nice. And this is one I picked up before we went on our road trip. This is a CAC-G graded toner. Look at this thing, 1883 O, a Mid-State 60 out of all grades. The obverse isn't completely great looking. It's got a lot of chatter on there, which kept the gray down. But the idea is that CAC-G is very tough on grading toned coins, and then we have this beautiful rainbow toner here. That's just magnificent. So that's a PC item right there. The likelihood I'll see one as nice as this in a CAC-G holder, that's kind of tough. So, yeah, I mean, a few pieces, a few for tonight's show. Yeah, that's my story on the road trip to the Colorado A&A. I talked to my wife, and she said, I would love to do this again. We're just not driving. So, yeah, it was a week to remember, a lot of thrills and spills, and the ultimate idea through all this, the big thing is that, we're not going to let something like this, whether it's a road closure or a medical emergency like this, it doesn't have to completely derail us. And when you have something like Stacy, my wife, who's as strong as ever to get through all of this and to want to be determined to do it, that means the world to me. She means the world to me. And also, I owe it to my audience to talk about this in the most realist way possible. This is real Sean here. Okay, I'm not Blue Ridge Silverhound at this point. Um, I'm just a person. Some people see me as a legend in this hobby. I'm totally far from that, guys. I am not that person. I'm not the person you guys think I am. I'm just a humble, regular family man that had a very early start to the conversation of this hobby. I could have talked about any damn thing. I could have talked about toenail clipping hobby collecting or navel lid collecting or, something less gross than that. But, there would have been that passion. All right. And this does not change things. Sure, I could probably use about 48 straight hours of sleep at this point, but you guys really make who I am today as a personality. I don't like using the word, but that's what everybody associates with when it comes to someone of my status with my subscriber base. That's who I am. But genuinely, I'm just a fellow human being. That enjoys this hobby as much as you do. So um, keep on collecting, my friends. Be healthy. Be happy. You'll be seeing more of me after today. We are back in force with all the good stuff. I'll be on tonight with a Whatnot stream. If you guys are interested, I actually have my referral link down below in the description box if you want to check things out. At the very least, sign up. You're not obligated to bid or buy anything, of course. Just come by, hang out, say hi. We'd love to meet you. So that's it. I'm out of here. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Friday, a great weekend. And I'll see you guys later. All right. Peace.